In this video I'd like to share a little bit about how I go about drying the mushroom and also storing it, and a couple of other little tips along the way. So I was out today and I only got one. It hasn't rained in 5 days, so yeah, I'll just give you a wee look at this. It's quite, actually looks quite dry. It is probably, yeah, close to, I'd say, 50% dry. So typically speaking, these dried mushrooms would have been in the dehydrator for 8 to 12 hours depending on how wet they were. This would probably only take 4 to 5 hours in the dehydrator, depending on the other moisture of the mushrooms as well, because that can kind of spread. So when you're taking your mushrooms out of the dehydrator, you want to make sure they're cracker dry. So what I would do is I would always check around the mushroom as well, just because one part might feel like it's very dry, but then there might be other thicker parts of the mushroom that might be still holding on to moisture. So just be aware of that. You might want to break up your mushroom so there's more even distribution of the heat getting in there. So when they're dry, there's a few things you can do. You can store them for a later date, and you can make a tea, you can make a tincture, you can grind it into a powder to make capsules. And what you might want to do if you don't have a dehydrator, you don't have the patience for putting it out to dry in the sun on the windowsill, or putting it into an oven or by the fireplace, whatever. I haven't tried any of these in great detail, so you might have a method you might like to share. So I would typically, if I didn't have a dehydrator, I would probably just make a tincture. Get some 37% alcohol. You can use a higher grade, probably actually better. And you would be using the raw mushroom, which will have more of the ibotonic compound. So I also have another tincture here brewing, which is going to have more of the muscimol because it's already dried. I go into this more in another detail, but through the drying process, which is called decarboxylation, the mushroom typically degrades from the ibotonic, which has up to 95%, into the muscimol compound. So more on that in a different video. So if you have a capsule maker, a lot of people actually do these days, that's going to be handy. You can grind it up into a powder, and then you'll have the more evenly distribution of the compounds, because sometimes some of the caps, they will have less ibotonic and muscimol than other caps. So it takes 4 weeks for your tinctures to be ready, typically speaking, give or take. More information on the website there as well. And storing, so if you get it, you can put it in a Ziploc bag. That's handy if you're going to use it regularly, or a jar, maybe a silicone gel pad, just to keep it extra dry, and that'll take out the more moisture if there is any. But I use a backpack just for long-term storage and keep it in a dark, cool place. And I think that's it. Sinead.